entitled mother-in-law doesn't think I deserve to date her precious son because she hates me. So she threw his family heirloom engagement ring down a storm drain when she found out he was going to propose. Seeing my reaction, she said, "Don't worry, I will just ask my son about it later." I looked over at my boyfriend, who seemed equally as shocked, but he didn't say anything. She then started to go on about my hair being too curly, and this would be a problem if I were to have her grandkids. She told me that I really need to learn how to brush my thick hair and think about my appearance more when I am out with her son. I lost my appetite as she talked to me, and I wish I hadn't talked to her at all. I didn't eat much, to which she said it was good that I am watching what I eat because it would be a shame if I got any bigger. This was my first time meeting this woman, and it blew up in my face. As soon as I got into my car, I burst into tears until I got home. My boyfriend was texting me and apologizing for his mother's behavior, but the damage was done, and I told him I needed time to think. He went into apology overload after this and started sending me flowers every day, and leaving me messages begging me to talk to him. It took a while for me to agree, and we went out to dinner. He told me he spoke with his mother about her inappropriate comments and he swore it would never happen again. I knew I could trust my boyfriend, so with this reassurance I decided to give it another chance. 2 weeks later, I was invited to a family birthday party where I would be meeting his sisters and grandparents. They were all awesome people, and asked me normal questions about my life. My boyfriend's mom seemed to be avoiding me throughout the evening, and honestly, I was okay with that simply because I didn't want a repeat of last time. But things got bad when I went to grab something from my purse, only to see that it wasn't when I left it. I looked for a while before telling my boyfriend, and he got this strange look on his face, before quickly going upstairs. I could hear a lot of yelling between him and his mom where he said she can't be doing stuff like this and she was making me uncomfortable. He came back down holding my purse after a few minutes and told me that we were leaving. Once we got in the car, I asked him what was going on. His mother had taken my purse so that she could see my driver's license and run a background check on me. He told me she had told him this earlier, but he honestly thought she was joking. For the time being, I wanted to avoid any of his family functions because they were not turning out well. This worked out great for a while, and he went to any of his family parties alone. He would ask me each time before leaving if I was sure that I didn't want to go, but I always declined. Last week though, he was persistent on me going with him, and though I was very reluctant, I thought about all the people attending and didn't think his mom would pull anything this time. When we got there, I immediately caught up with his sisters, and his mom joined us later into the night when we were talking about his sister's children. His sister has a daughter who is 12 and is the same age as my niece, which got me excited, and I took that opportunity to show a picture of my niece. His mother took a look at the screen and began to laugh. She told me she hopes that if me and her son ever have children that they don't look like my niece. What kind of monster attacks a 12-year-old child's appearance? This was my breaking point, and I went off like a volcano. I started to scream at her, and told her she is the most evil person I ever had the displeasure of meeting. I told her if I ever did have children with her son, she can be certain she will never meet them because hell is too far to travel to. She began to play the victim and wailed that I had just misunderstood her joke. My boyfriend came rushing over at this point, and she threw herself into his arms telling him I am a horrible woman and he needed to throw me out right now. Thankfully, he defended me and told her that wasn't going to happen and she needs to stop making a fool of herself. Her jaw dropped at his comment, but she seemed to listen and sat back down. She just kept sobbing that I just didn't understand how to take a joke. Then something in her snapped when she noticed something that my boyfriend was holding in his hand and began to have another meltdown. She was stomping her foot and crying like a toddler, screaming over and over, "He's my precious son, you don't deserve him," and calling me a bunch of derogatory words like beach and whre. When my boyfriend and I were leaving, she made a lunge for my boyfriend's hand and grabbed the small box he was holding. She looked me dead the eyes and said, "You will never have this ring, you little beach." She ran outside and threw the box down a storm drain. Turns out, my boyfriend was intending on proposing to me, and he had just gotten his grandmother's ring while we were at the reunion. His grandmother is completely heartbroken that her ring is down a storm drain instead of continuing on in the family as she had always wanted. I don't know where to go from here. I am devastated, confused and exhausted.